Now we are going to learn about food, grain revolution, and biotechnology. According to M.S. Swaminathan, if farm ecology and economics go wrong, nothing else will go right in agriculture. In other words, farm ecology and economics are important for the success of any agricultural endeavor of any country or even uh, in localities. Basically, we have three major sources of food, which that includes the croplands. Okay, here we can think of different crops such as corn, rice, wheat, and many others, any other plant-bearing food. We also have another major source of food, call it the rangelands or pastures, where different animals are being taken care of and where we can get different kind of meat, such as meat coming from the cow or say beef. Then we have meat coming from the different animals, okay, for consumption purposes. We also have fisheries and aquaculture. This is the third major source of food. Okay, that includes the fish or fishes. We also have streams and many other aqua organisms. What are the impediments for providing enough food for everyone? Okay, that includes the increase of the prices of food, right? We also have political mayhem. Okay, this is basically the unnecessary damage of violence brought about in the political arena. We have also here corruption. Okay, corruption is very rampant in many parts of the world, and of course in the Philippines, corruption is still evident. Okay, so corruption is one of the many ways wherein uh, people are being deprived of the food that they deserve. Okay, because this is being benefited only by some or few persons, the government, as officials whatsoever. We also have here disputes and conflicts of war. Okay, this can actually prevent, okay, the necessary provision of enough food for all people. Because talk about wars, for instance, this will affect many people in the production of food because they will be more focused on the activities brought about the war. Then there's also destructive environmental consequences of food production. All right, as we can see here in the illustrations, these are the environmental problems arising from food production. We have, for instance, future food production may be limited due to soil erosion and degradation. We have, of course, the water and air pollution, and of course, climate change, which is the average condition, okay, of a certain place for a long period of time. Okay, genetically modified food, or what we call the GM foods, also known as genetically engineered foods or GA foods, or bioengineered foods, are foods produced from organisms that had changes introduced into their DNA using the methods of genetic engineering. Genetic engineering techniques allow for introduction of new traits as well as a greater control over traits when compared to previous methods, such as selective breeding and mutation breeding. We have our top 10 genetically modified foods. You have, for instance, corn, soy, cottonseed, papaya, rice, rapeseed or canola. We have potatoes, tomatoes, dairy products, and peas. Organic agriculture as an element of sustainable agriculture. What are the benefits of organic food? Organic food can prevent premature aging. Some of us, many of us, are actually experiencing this kind of dilemma, right? So people are becoming so old, right? So you're getting old so easily. And so organic food can be of great help because it prevents premature aging. It will help you to look younger than your age. Okay. Another benefit of organic food is that it boosts immune system. Now, immune system is important for us to boost because this will help us to fight against any kind of disease, even viruses, bacteria, or germs that will be entering our body. Then organic food can also ensure safe and healthy growth for future generation. This will, okay, organic food also tastes better than non-organic food, and it can also reduce risk of heart disease. A lot of people now experiencing different kinds of heart diseases because of the food that they take. But with organic food, it can reduce this risk of heart disease. Organic food also can promote animal welfare. It can reduce presence of pesticides, and it also prevents cancer. Complex system, many food interests, right? So they're the inputs. Okay, so going to the farm, form of seeds, and you plant them, they grow, and then you get to harvest them. It will be transported, and it goes to the mills if you have the grains, and your animals can be slaughtered in a place intended for it. You need to transport, and of course, you can also import, and then you go to restaurants, retail, and then you go to the consumer. So along this line, we can say that food can be contaminated at any point from farm inputs to fork. Probable contaminants in food, okay, we have microbes and microbial toxins such as salmonella, chemicals, we have fertilizers and also pesticides. Now, what are the impacts of food contaminants? Can actually cause sickness and fatality or death, economic consequences, panic or alarm. It can also lead to loss of trust and confidence, and of course, disruption in food supply. But these are examples of food that are being produced or being made from those harvested from the farm, right? So we have foods that provides us with carbs, such as grains, rice, potato, beaches of fruits. For fats, we have avocado, olives, oils, flaxseed, butter. For protein, okay, we have, for example, whey, lean meats, low-fat dairy fish, and seafood. And we also have, of course, beans, lentils, legumes, peas, quinoa, and bedwood. You have the fatty meat, dairy, eggs, salmon, nuts, and seeds. Adverse effects of food manufacturing technologies on the environment. Okay, in terms of the packaging materials used, for instance, plastic bottles, paper cups, boxes, and foils to wrap or hold our food. So, for example, the packaging materials of these final products, GP, Magic, Baker Hands. We have Fab, C2, chocolate with rice shake, and all others. Okay, we are using different packaging materials here. Okay, some of them are made out of plastic bottles, and of course, these are very damaging to the environment if we throw them irresponsibly. Right? So we need to really reduce waste. For example, we are going to reuse and recycle some of these materials or these materials. Right? We can make use of this recycling process. Government interventions. How can the government help? Okay, one is that governments influence food production, regulate and control prices of basic needs. Okay, for example, the DTI, Department of Trade and Industry, grants subsidies as well. Second is reduce hunger, malnutrition, environmental degradation. Okay, it can reduce population expansion, reduce poverty by providing employment, and cultivate and develop sustainable low-input agriculture. Right, so for number one, you have to provide assisted retail price for basic needs or basic commodities. All right, we have here the term Great Revolution. It's actually a movement to boost food production through the launching of high-yield crop varieties, the use and treatment of fertilizers and pesticides, and the application of advanced agricultural techniques or what we call mechanization. The objective is to eliminate or at the very least reduce hunger by further enriching crop performance. We have here Dr. Norman Ernest Barlow. He was actually the father of grain revolution. Okay, he was a U.S. plant pathologist and plant breeder, and he won the Nobel Peace Prize in 1970. Now, the need for a grain revolution. Why do we need this kind of movement? This is what we call grain revolution. It's because there's this what we call continuous increase in population, there's a shortage of food, high cost of production, and environmental problems. Thomas Malthus wrote a famous essay in 1798 which deliberated the struggles caused by population growth. And Malthus' essay on the principles of population, this need for a great evolution is actually, or was actually evident. Okay, here is what here's Thomas Malthus. All right, so in terms of population, there's an increase in terms of a bit geometrically. Okay, population can increase 1, 2, 4, 8, 16, or 32. While for food supply, its increase is arithmetically 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So basically, we need more food as the population increases. Right, so we want to promote green revolution because it's the only promise of hope. Right, so we need to reduce hunger or even eliminate hunger, intensify food production, foster technological knowledge, availability of materials to local farmers, and strengthen, improve global carrying capacity. Post-green revolution problems or setbacks, okay, the input accessibility. Not all farmers have access to seeds, fertilizer, irrigation, pesticides, insecticides, and machinery, as well as equipment. And for production cost monetary ability, as most farmers could not afford the requirements for the cultivation of these new varieties. Environmental concerns, we have soil erosion, soil nutrient depletion, challenge on allocation distribution, problems in transportation, problems in terms of storage. Biotechnology, okay, this is the next green revolution. Biotechnology supports farmers produce higher yields on less land as compared to conventional plant breeding, more precise state-of-the-art farming technology. Farming methods of practice becomes less time consuming. Right, we have here different scientists, okay, helping farmers, okay, through this biotechnology so that this will be less time consuming for them and they will have a better yield. All right, so we have the requisites for a successful biotechnology scheme. Okay, accessibility, monetary concerns. Most local farmers could not afford biotech products, provide subsidies to local farmers. Okay, first they need to demand more tests for genetically modified goods for safety and health reasons, not only for human consumption, but for environmental matters as well. This states more funding for research and development that is to discover more potential and or setbacks. Educating the public to have adequate information. Okay, for example, agricultural subsidies, fertilizer subsidy, rice competitiveness enhancement fund or RCEF, or collected taxes from rice imports with fund programs for farmers. Existing departments with the Food and Drug Administration of the Philippines, that's FDA, and National Food Authority or NFA, the Department of Health or DOH, and the Department of Science and Technology or DOST. Biotechnology and the environment. Conventional farming practices necessitate the cutting down of more forests and convert it into croplands to increase the food production for the mounting population. In doing so, wildlife habitat would be destroyed. Biotechnology have less impact on biodiversity, forest, wildlife, soil erosion, grasslands. Right? So doing this, multi-biotechnology will help us balance our biodiversity, and we'll have a better environment, not like what is happening before. Green revolution and biotechnology in the 21st century. So we really need this green revolution and biotechnology, especially this time in the 21st century. So the need to obviously continue because food shortage is a global problem. Overpopulation puts pressure and threatens food supply. Modern technologies can facilitate, right? Okay, in enhancing food production. We really need green revolution and of course this biotechnology to be more spread throughout the different countries in the world.